Most people don't lose their faith over an argument. They lose it over a disappointment. And Jesus says one thing about that which few of us ever seem to notice. Maybe you prayed for your marriage. You prayed specifically for years. It ended anyway. Or you served faithfully in a place for a decade. And when the moment came, you were passed over and it was given to someone else who'd been there 10 minutes. Maybe you watched God heal someone else and you left, you drove home still with that ailment, still with that pain or that sickness. Maybe you've done everything right. You've paid the cost. You've made the obedient decision when nobody was watching and the door just closed anyway. None of these things though, none of these things have made you an atheist, and that's what's really interesting about them. You didn't stop believing God exists. You just quietly stopped expecting anything from him, and something in you's gone cold, and maybe you've never been able to articulate it. That is not doubt. It's something else, and Jesus has a word for it. In Matthew's Gospel, chapter 11, you got John the Baptist. This dude is in prison at this moment in time. He's the greatest man born of women. That's what Jesus says just a few verses later. He's the one who leapt in his mother's womb, who prepared the way, who pointed and said, "Behold the Lamb of God who baptized the Messiah," and saw the heavens open up over him. And now your man is in a cell. He's awaiting execution. And the reports keep coming all the while. They're coming in about Jesus, what he's doing out there. He's performing miracles. He's performing healings. Crowds are coming, all of them happening to strangers. And John, at this moment in time, he sends his disciples with a question, and it'll stop you in your tracks when you hear it. He says, "Are you the one who is to come? Or shall we look for another?" This isn't a man with a theological problem. This is a man who gave his whole life to announce a person, Jesus. And that someone, that person, the Lord, is now doing wonders for people John has never met while he is rotting away in a prison cell. And Jesus answers. It's weird. He starts listing the signs. The blind see, the lame walk, lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised. The poor have the gospel preached to them. Every one of those is a yes, come on, the kingdom is here, it's happening. And then he had one more line that seems to come from nowhere. It's like an additional beatitude. He said, "And blessed is he who is not offended in me," or maybe a more literal translation, "and blessed is whoever does not stumble over me." Blessed is whoever doesn't trip on me. Why would he say that? He's just described the blind receiving their sight. Who trips over that? Who could possibly find a problem with the blind seeing? Well, as it happens, as it turns out, almost everyone. You read the Gospels, you'll notice something strange happens over and over again. Jesus performs a miracle and people object. He heals on the Sabbath and they accuse him of breaking the law. He speaks with divine authority and they accuse him of blasphemy. He casts out demons and they say he's doing it by demonic power. The problem was never a shortage of evidence. The evidence was standing in front of them with restored eyes. The problem, it was that the goodness of God arrived in a form nobody had authorized. There's an old image running through the scriptures for this. Jesus is a stone. The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. You've heard the verse. And a stone can only ever be one of two things. Either it gets built into the structure, it takes the weight, building everything up, becoming the thing that the building rests on, or it lies in the path unused. And then it becomes the thing that you catch your toe on in the dark, right? You stumble over it. Same stone, two completely different outcomes. And the difference isn't in the stone. The builders in the gospel each had their own project. The Romans were building an empire. The Pharisees building a religious order. The Zealots building a revolution, an uprising. Every one of them had a plan and a picture of how things should go. And Jesus fitted none of them. So to each of them, he became something to be got out of the way. And here's what I want you to sit with. Here's what I want you to take away. You have a project too. A picture of how your life should go. You know, you're the architect. An architecture in your head of what God should be doing and roughly when. You got a timeline even. Every one of us has it, and most of us, we never really want to admit to it. And Jesus, he doesn't fit inside of it. He doesn't fit inside any of those plans. He is God. And this isn't a flaw in him. He is the flawless one. He's perfect. It's the whole point. But it means that at some stage, he will arrive in your life in a form that doesn't match the plan. And in that moment, the same Christ who is meant to be the foundation of everything becomes the thing you trip over. There's something underneath all of this that goes even deeper still. Look at who the miracles are done to. It's the blind man that doesn't restore his own sight. It's the dead man who doesn't raise himself. The leper contributes nothing to his own cleansing. Every single one of those miracles, every single one of those wonders, it's something that's received. They receive it. And that, for a certain kind of person, is unbearable. Let's be real. Because we'd very much prefer to save ourselves. We'd like to do it with intelligence, with discipline, with moral effort, with religious performance, with sheer competence and stamina. We'd rather earn it than take it. And there's a deep, almost invisible pride in us that would genuinely prefer the harder path that we could complete than a free gift that we simply have to open our hands to receive. And Christ offends that. It's so offensive. He offends it directly in his love, because everything he does says the same thing. You cannot give yourself life. You can only be given it. He is the life. He is the resurrection and the life. So if you've ever found yourself unable to rest in grace, unable to stop performing, unable to believe that it could really be free, you already know this stone. You've been tripping over it maybe for years without even knowing what it was. But the greatest offense is still coming, because the miracles are not the destination. They're pointing somewhere. And where they're pointing to is Calvary. And the real question that the whole gospel is building toward is this: will you still believe he is who he says he is when the miracle worker is hanging there, unable to save himself? The scriptures tell us, it says that they shouted at him. It's all there in the text. He saved others. He cannot save himself. Come down from the cross and we'll believe in you. And you can feel the logic in it, can't you? If he's powerful, why is he powerless? If he's the chosen one, why does he look abandoned? If he raises the dead, why is he dying? I don't get it. Why is he there? That's the stumbling block. That's the moment where almost everyone falls, because the form of God's goodness, it looks like total weakness, apparent failure, public defeat. And what Jesus is actually saying to John, sitting in that cell, is something extraordinary, if you can hear it. He's not saying, hold on, I'm going to get you out. He's saying, John, you're already in it. The thing that you're enduring, the separation, the powerlessness, this looking like defeat, this is the shape of my messiahship. This is what it's going to look like, the form it's about to take. You're not outside my kingdom because you're suffering. You're sharing in it ahead of time. Blessed are you, John, for not falling over the fact that my glory looks like this. There is one person, there's one person in the Gospels who never stumbled over him, not once, his mother. Gosh, you got to hear this. What makes it remarkable isn't that her life was easier. No way, it was the hardest life. Harder than anyone's. Her yes at the beginning wasn't a yes to a particular outcome. When she said, let it be done to me according to your word, she was not signing up for Bethlehem and the miracles and the crowds and a triumphant ending. She was saying yes to him, whatever form it took. Whatever form it took. Which is why she's standing there still 30 odd years later at the foot of a Roman execution stake, watching her son die. And she doesn't walk away, and she doesn't accuse him. She never required him to match her picture, her expectations. So there was no picture of him to break, for him to break, none whatsoever. That's the alternative to stumbling. And it's the only one there is. Not demanding that Jesus conform to your understanding of God, but letting Jesus redefine it. Now, let's bring this home, because this isn't an idea, it's a live question in your life right now. There's something in your life at this moment where his goodness has not taken the form that you wanted. You know exactly what it is. It surfaced in your mind earlier on in this video. You've been thinking about it, and the question isn't whether you still believe in God. You do. That was never really in doubt. The question is whether you've quietly filed that thing away as evidence, whether somewhere underneath the ongoing faithfulness you've concluded that in that area he didn't come through, and you've stopped expecting him there. That's the stone. That is where it's lying in the path. And I'm not going to tell you the thing didn't hurt, or that you should feel differently about it. I'm not going to do that, or that there's a tidy reason for it. Jesus doesn't do that with John. He doesn't explain, and he doesn't rescue. He does something else. He sends John a word, and he says it's really me. The kingdom really is arriving. And the fact that that it doesn't currently look like deliverance for you doesn't mean it isn't happening. So here's the practice, and it's a small and it's a daily act, and it costs something. The next time that thing comes up, and it will, you take it back. You take it back to the Lord rather than around him. Not to demand an explanation, just to refuse to let it become a wall. You say something like, I don't understand it, God. I don't get it. And I'm not pretending to. But I'm not going to conclude you're not good because it didn't come in the shape I asked for. Do that once, and you've moved the stone slightly. You do that for a year, and you've built your life on it. Because the difference between a cornerstone and a stumbling block was never in the stone. So don't mistake the form of God's goodness, the form that it takes for the absence of God's goodness. I really want you to hear that today. That's the whole thing. That's what Jesus is saying to a man in a cell who gave everything and got a prison for it. Blessed is the one who can still call him good when his goodness doesn't look the way they needed it to look. Blessed is the one who lets him be who he actually is rather than requiring him to be the version they came for. Blessed is the one who, standing in front of a crucified God, does not turn away. He's not going to fit your plan. He never fitted into anyone's plan. That's not because he doesn't love you. It's because what he's building is so much larger than the thing that you were asking for that it can't be contained inside your picture of it. The stone is in front of you either way. You get to decide whether it's the thing you fall over or the thing you build your whole life on. If this names something that you've been carrying, do me a favor, send it to a person you know who's got quiet with God since something didn't go the way that they prayed for. It doesn't look the way that they were expecting. You know who they are. Send it to them. Bless them today. And if you're here for the first time, subscribe. These videos going out every week. And like the video if it moved you. Drop a comment. It helps in getting the word out to as many people as we can to bless them with this glorious and beautiful gospel. And I want to hear from you. Leave a comment. Let me know how God is moving in your life. This channel grows one person at a time. And I really want to thank you for being a part of it. So, a final word. He will not fit your picture of him. He never fitted anyone's picture. Don't let that be the thing that you fall over, because eternal life starts now.